Peter here, aka Pure Freak Out 10, bringing another episode of the Movie Review Show. The good movies are always reviewed. Okay, back at the movie review today. And we're continuing the second month of Screepfest. Okay. Now, on today's episode, we're going to take a look at another horror film that falls in the line of anthology, similar to films like VHS or Trick or Treat. And for those who haven't been keeping up with my channel, and you might be asking your question, what is anthology, and is not a horror nut and has been living under their bed or rock the past few years? Let me explain. Anthology is basically a horror film that has many different stories of horror combined into one. It could be any genre, drama, romance, or even comedy, which has their own specific story, and pretty much it follows it like its own movie, but shorter. Which is basically what anthology is. And towards the end of the film, or whatever it is, there's basically a wraparound that pretty much shows that these stories are tied together. So, yeah. Horror is an easy thing to do it around. It's literally one of the easiest things you can even do it around. As I said in my Trick or Treat review, VHS did it right. But before those two, anthology was started way back when, in the 1950s, when Pacific horror companies such as EZ developed comics such as Vault of Horror and Tales from the Crypt. Tales from the Crypt would later get its own TV show. Awesome show. Hold on a second. But yeah, these comics were literally filled to the brim of blood, gore, violence, language, sex, nudity, anything you can think of. They pushed it to the max. And that's what made them awesome. There was one where a guy turns into a giant lump of cancer. There's another one where a kid is stuffed into a stocking by Santa. That was awesome. I messed up. I know. And that pretty much led to the comics being soon banned. But we still have some today, which I am really happy to announce. And after all that, in the 1980s and 90s, we've had shows like Are You Afraid of the Dark? And even Goosebumps, which you guys know the Goosebumps movie's out now. So, yeah. And one of the big readers around that time reading these comics was Stephen King. And so, he wanted to make a movie and pretty much do the whole anthology thing and make it its own and pay tribute to those comics that he loved. But doing it on his own wasn't an easy task, so he got the help of George A. Romero. You heard me right, Dawn of the Dead, George A. Romero. And along with that, George A. Romero went ahead and got Tom Savini, who was best known for giving us such effects in Friday the 13th, The Prowler, The Burning, and even Dawn of the Dead, which he has worked with before. So naturally, with a film like that, it would be awesome. Any film that combines George A. Romero, a screenplay by Stephen King, and the special effects skills of Tom Savini, it sounds like one heck of a roller coaster. And that roller coaster is the name of this one ride that will never be forgotten. That is CreepShow. The most fun you'll ever have screaming. I can't do it. But, yeah. CreepShow was made back in 1982, and as I said, directed by George A. Romero. And when this came out, it surprisingly dominated the box office, and to this day has grown to have a cult status and has even become a fan favorite. And to tell you the truth, I'm gonna say this. This is gonna make me sound so stupid, but I don't care. When I first saw this film, I did not like it. I did not like this film. I had my mom was watching it with me too, and she did not like it too. I mean, the main thing that disturbed her was the ending, but she doesn't like anything horror. But mainly this she did like. I just maybe it's because I was little and I saw it and I didn't even know what the heck was going on, because I wasn't really a big comic reader like I am today. But yeah, that's probably the reason. But still, overall, just really did not like the film. That wasn't until I saw the cult status that the film had and saw that it did successful in the box office. And I wanted to give it a second try. I wanted to see if that cult status really just meant anything to the film, because the film itself, uh, just when I heard about it, the casting that it had that I didn't even notice when I was little, just really made me want to watch it again. So I went and picked out the movie. And I gotta say this. This is probably the second best anthology horror film out there, right next to Trick or Treat and VHS. In the middle, I would say. Those two, I think, are great, and this is probably the most unique. I think it's probably one of the most unique anthology horror films that I think I've seen. It's just a great film. I was really surprised by how good it was, and there are some people that I know who have not seen this film, and that surprises me, because this big fan base that the film has makes you think that some people have seen it, but nope, my dad hasn't seen it. Just my mom walked in and saw a little bit of it when I saw it when I was little, so yeah. But as I said, made in the year 1982, directed by George A. Romero. And the film has a grade A cast. You got Hall Holbrook, Adriana Barbeau, who voiced Catwoman in Batman the Animated Series. You got Fritz Weaver, Leslie Nielsen, aka Mr. Magoo, Carrie Nye, E.G. Marshall, VVC Landfords. You also got Ed Harris in a small role. So yeah, definitely a really, really good cast. Definitely at least some surprising people I saw in here. And when I grew up and saw these people, because when I saw this film when I was little, I got to know these actors, and seeing them in this film surprised me. So yeah, but I'll get into why I enjoy this film later. But basically, the opening scene, before we actually get into the stories, it starts off with this kid reading this comic book, and his dad comes in. The dad's actually played by Tom Atkins, who you might know from Demons and Lethal Weapon, and he was also in Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! That guy. But for some reason, he doesn't like his son reading this comic, and he beats on the kid and just throws the comic out. And the kid, who's actually Stephen King's son, by the way, the skeleton, this guy here, who's basically the mascot of CreepShow, comes out and basically starts showing us parts from the comic. And we have our first one where we have this couple, well, played by Ed Harris. I don't know who the girl's name is, but they're going to visit her parents, and they find out that her aunt fell in love with this guy, and when her father, who basically hated her guts, found out, he had him executed by a hunter. And that pissed her aunt off so much that one day when it's Father's Day, she decides that she's going to kill her father after he drives her to the edge. Where's my cake? You promised me my cake! And basically decides to kill him. And pretty soon they bury him, and on Father's Day, that day, the people at the house, he comes back from the dead and starts killing off the family members. And really, really gruesome stuff. But the next story we have is the lonesome death of Jordy. I think his name is, who's actually played by Stephen King. And in the story, we have this guy named, actually his name's Rhodey. I think his name Jordy or Rhodey, but he is a farmer living out in the plains. And one night, a meteor lands in his yard, and for some reason, he decides to touch it. I'm not joking with you. He thinks that this thing is going to make him money, which I would think the same thing too. But the first thing he decides to do is touch it. I'm not joking with you. The first thing he decides to do is touch it. And pretty soon, he tries to take it out and everything, and some stuff lands on him. Meteors. And pretty soon, plants start growing all around the house. It turning his house into something Poison Ivy would want to live in. And pretty soon, and the story goes with him trying to basically just fight it and try to basically find a way to get him back to normal, which ends in a shocking thing, by the way. Shocking way. But the next one we have is this one with Leslie Nielsen as this guy who is very demanding and aggressive, and he finds out that his wife was cheating on him. So he goes and finds the captor, and I got an itch right here. I don't know why. But he goes and finds the cheater, and he takes him to the beach, and he buries him in the sand up to his head right there. Right there. And he films him on the beach and pretty much films the tide coming in and trying to drown him in it. And basically, he also films his wife's death, too. And he leaves them there to die, and then later, they come back as a group of seamen or women, men, or fishmen, as I like to call them, seaweed men or something. But that's one I really enjoy. I have to say that's one of my favorite ones, and the last two are definitely my favorite. The last three are definitely my favorite ones. But the next one is called The Crate with Hall Holbrook. And in this one, we have Hall Holbrook as this guy who's at a party with his naggy wife, played by Adriana Barbeau. And she basically tells him, oh, you're no use and everything. You never do anything. And basically, he wants to kill her. And during the party, his friend gets a call to tell him to come check on this box that someone found underneath the stairs. And so he goes there and finds that there's this monster in the thing. And pretty soon at one point it kills off the one of the students at the thing, because one of the students got involved with it. I don't know what a student was doing in there at that time of night, but you know. Then again, I don't know heck about college. But Paul Holbrook's character decides to use it on his wife. And pretty much, you'll see where that goes. But the last one, and this is probably my favorite one of them all, is They're Creeping Up on You. In this one, Upson Pratt, who is basically this guy who has a phobia of germs. I know there's a name for it, but he has a phobia of germs, and he secluded himself into this room with electricity, light, and everything's white. And one night he finds out this guy that he worked for ended up dying because he committed suicide. And he's happy and everything, and out of nowhere, all these bugs start appearing everywhere. Literally, cockroaches. They're everywhere. They're on him, they're in his food, they're everywhere, and it's just a gross thing. So if you have a phobia of bugs, you might want to skip this one. But that's all of them. And I'm going to be honest here. CreepShow is, to me, while known among some people, it is an underrated gem, and I think it's an awesome movie. I know I say that a lot, but this movie, I think, nails the anthology segment well in the same style of VHS and Trick or Treat, both of which are really good films. I think all three, this and those two, are the best anthology films ever made. I'm really looking forward to Trick or Treat too, but I thought this was a really, really good film. I think the one thing I do like is its style and its stories. I think the stories here were really well done. I think they were really unique, and even though the first one is a little cliched, it definitely has its watch time and everything, and you definitely have fun watching it. And I like the some of the other ones too, the plant one, especially the cockroach one, because I think it takes a fear that some people have and makes it worse. Because I know that there are a lot of people who have a fear of bugs. Sorry. My nose is itching again. But it takes a fear that I think people have of bugs, and I think makes it worse. Because I think horror is supposed to build on a fear that people have and make it worse. That's how I think horror should be built as, because there are a lot of people who have a fear of bugs, and I think this takes that fear to extremely new heights. So, if you're afraid of bugs, you might want to steer clear of this film. But definitely really well done. Stories, definitely really well written. And I definitely think that Stephen King put his heart into the writing. You could tell by the style of this film that he's trying to do what the comics he read were doing, and it's easy to see some comic vibes there too. And it's kind of along the same line as Trick or Treat, because some of Trick or Treat had a little bit of a comic booky feel to it, like the opening and such. But this one is a little bit slightly more cartoony than Trick or Treat. Whereas Trick or Treat has some parts that are serious, I think that this film goes to the cartoonish route and tries to do the horror thing, because some of the scenes in this, like there's scenes like with the background, like say a character screaming, like they'll go around the back and such, or even when Upson, who's this guy right here, sees the cockroaches all over the place. There's like it's like a green screen around him or something, and you see the bugs around his face like a comic book. And I think they did that really well. I think it fits the tone of the film perfectly, and I think it's different. I think there's not too many horror films that try to be like a comic book, and there are some scenes in it where it's like page by page of like a comic, like that I thought was really cool. I know it was later done in Ang Lee's Hulk, but I think this is better editing than Ang Lee's Hulk, and that's easy to say, because I did not like that comic book thing in Ang Lee's Hulk. I was getting a headache by it. This, I just it felt more, I think it was better edited. I think it was better edited than Ang Lee's Hulk, because at that moment, like, they were moving it all over the place. This, I just feel, has the two screens there, and I think it's easier to see and everything. So, definitely really well done. The feel to it, the acting is really well done too. Ed Harris does a good job, but I think the best, probably the creepiest element to me when watching this, to me, was Leslie Nielsen, because his character took me by surprise by how crazy he was. Some of the things that he does, like the scene where he's talking to him in the sand, I thought that scene was actually really, really crazy. And I also like Hall Holbrook's character. I thought that you understand where he's coming from. I think there were some times where people did not like their wives. Instead of getting divorced, I don't know why he didn't think of getting a divorce for some reason. Just maybe he wanted to be so nice to her that he's not willing to say, "I'm done." But still, overall, I definitely think Hall Holbrook did a good job. I like what he was doing with the character. Definitely really, really well, I wouldn't say likable because he does some things towards the end that you really hate him for, but at the same time you see where he's coming from, you understand him, and at the same time it's a movie. And it sort of is like a crime, as fiction addiction, last owner's horrible horror said, kind of has a crime and punishment feel to it. I think that kind of fits it really well. I think it really kind of fits it well, and I actually never noticed that until he brought it up. And I think this film delivers that element perfectly, the crime and punishment thing, really well. And some of these characters, like what happens to them, like whether you hate them or not, like you love to see them you want to see them fail. And I think that Stephen King written them so well and really does a good job putting from what he saw in easy comics from like Vault of Horror and Tales from the Crypt onto the screen really well. It's fun to look at, it's fun to see, and I think he really brings it to movie form really well, and that's saying something. But the acting's well done. Adriana Barbeau, what can you say? Carrie Nye does a good job. E.G. Marshall. Tom Atkins, really, really jerky of character. But he dies, so yeah. If you don't like his character, he dies! Yay! I know, some people are going to be like, you spoiled it! This is 1982. Like, there's no need to spoil it. It's fine to spoil. That is unless it's like something like My Bloody Valentine with the twist at the end. You don't want to spoil it there because it's a big twist. But still, the acting in the film is surprisingly solid. I think the actors here do their roles very well. So, yeah, I definitely really enjoyed the acting. But the effects in the film are astounding. Tom Savini, I think, did a great job with the effects. Like, the plant scene, I thought that scene was really well affected. And definitely the part with the bugs all over the guy coming out of his chest. Like, oh my god, that scene was nasty. But Tom Savini does a good job with the effects in the same way he did with stuff like The Burning, Friday the 13th, or even films later like Part 4, which is the nastiest of the bunch. And The Prowler also has that mean-spirited feel too, but definitely Tom Savini, I think, shows his talents here, and I think it's probably one of his most unique times he ever did special effects for a film. And definitely really steps up his game with this film, especially the cockroach part proves a lot of talent that he has. The part with the plants, like, they look like real plants on him, especially the part with him on his tongue there. And just them all going around him, I thought they were really well done, and definitely really, really well, just really well executed, and definitely really gory in some parts. So yeah, there's nothing more that can be said about CreepShow, except it's an awesome movie. Definitely offers a lot to the table. I have nothing bad to say about it. I think those complaints that I had when I was little are completely gone. Now that I have a new view on films, I definitely think that this is one of the most effective horror films that I think I've seen, and I think it's a great start to Anthology, and it's just a great movie. So if you like stuff like Tales from the Crypt or like the EC comics, I definitely recommend you check out CreepShow. It's a great movie. It reaches second place. Trick or Treat is the best anthology film ever made. That's me, but this lands on number 2, probably in the middle with VHS. But overall, CreepShow is a great movie. If I had something bad to say, they'd probably be little nitpicks. So yeah, but none of that subtracts from the movie's well thought out. Just well thought out idea, its stories, and it's definitely a film that is great to watch on Halloween. So definitely check out CreepShow if you want a good anthology horror film. this is your movie. So, overall, I give CreepShow a 9.5 out of 10. It is awesome. It is well made. It is just a great film. And you're missing out if you don't see it. If you like George A. Romero, you like Stephen King, you'll definitely like this film. Definitely something to check out on Halloween, and it definitely will bring a good scare. So, definitely check out CreepShow. But that's my review on CreepShow, and next time I'm going to do my long-awaited review of The Crow. This is the newer edition that came in, so definitely going to get to that soon, but I'll see you guys later. Tell me what you guys think of CreepShow in the comments below. And be sure to rate, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.